Hello, my name is Author. I am the author of several books, including The Girl Who Drank the Moon and its sequel, The Witch's Heart. And today, we are going to do something different. Today, I'm sharing a brand new story written especially for this platform. So let's jump right in. The setting sun cast long shadows over the cobblestone streets, painting the rooftops in hues of orange and purple. The air was thick with the smell of wood smoke and baking bread, a comforting aroma that usually calmed Ayla. Tonight, however, the approaching darkness brought with it a knot of anxiety in her stomach. Her father, the village elder, had gone into the Whispering Wood that afternoon and hadn't returned. The Whispering Wood was an ancient forest on the edge of their small village. Its gnarled trees and tangled undergrowth had a way of swallowing the daylight, making it perpetually dark and foreboding. Most villagers avoided it, believing it to be cursed, haunted by malevolent spirits that whispered to travelers, tempting them to stray from the path and never return. Yet Ella knew the wood held no such dangers. He loved concocting calming blends to help the villagers sleep, especially when nightmares plagued their dreams. But now the sun was setting, and he was late. Fear tightened its grip on Ella. Her fingers, usually nimble and quick, fumbled as she tried to soothe the anxious mother cat sitting beside her. It was just like her father to get lost in thought and forget the passage of time. She told herself, trying to quell the rising panic. But what if the Whispering Wood had taken him? What if the whispers had turned cruel and lured her father into its shadowy depths? As dusk deepened into night, Ella knew she couldn't wait any longer. She had to go after him. Grabbing her cloak, she slipped out of the cottage, the mother cat, Maya, padding silently behind her. The forest loomed before them, its twisted branches clawing at the fading light. The wind rustled through the leaves, and Ella could have sworn she heard a whisper, just a fleeting sound that seemed to say her name. Pushing deeper into the wood, she strained to listen for any sign of her father, the familiar sound of his whistling or the rhythmic thump of his staff against the ground. All she heard was the whisper of the wind and the unsettling susurrus of unseen wings. The forest was alive with unseen things, and Ella felt their watchful eyes upon her. Then she saw it, a faint glow emanating from between some ancient oak trees. Relief flooded through her, chasing away the fear. There was her father, his silhouette outlined by the light spilling from within. He was safe. She hurried towards the light, pushing aside the heavy branches that threatened to snag her cloak. But as she stepped into the clearing, her heart froze in her chest. The firelight danced in her father's wide, unseeing eyes. His head lolled at an unnatural angle, his mouth hanging open in a silent scream. Ella rushed to his side, her fear morphing into icy anger. Whoever had done this had trapped her father in his own cottage and left him to die. Rage gave way to resolve. She had to get help, find someone strong enough to protect her from whatever creature lurked in these woods. But then she heard it, a soft, keening sound that seemed to rise from the very roots of the trees. The sound grew louder, coalescing into a mournful voice that echoed around them. Lost and alone, seeking aid, child of moonlight, hear my plea. The voice seemed to be coming from the tree line, beckoning her with its sorrowful call. Hesitantly, Ella turned towards the sound. The voice continued, and she could have sworn it was her father calling to her, his voice strained and desperate. "Who's there?" she cried out, her voice trembling. "Come, child of moonlight," the voice urged. "Come to me, and all shall be well." Her father was calling to her. He needed her help. But what if it was a trap? Ella knew better than to trust unknown magic. Yet the thought of her father, trapped and dying, spurred her on. She stepped out of the clearing into the darkening shadows and followed the voice. The forest twisted around her, the trees growing closer, their branches reaching out like grasping claws. The air grew colder, the light dimmer, and fear threatened to overwhelm her. But then she saw it, a silver thread shimmering between the trees, beckoning her forward. Hope surged through her. If she could reach the end of the thread, perhaps she could find help. Perhaps she could save her father. Taking a deep breath, Ella reached out and grasped the thread. It was cool to the touch, yet it seemed to thrum with a strange energy. She pulled gently, and the thread led her deeper into the wood. The trees thinned, revealing a breathtaking sight before her. A luminous waterfall cascaded down a moss-covered rock face, its water sparkling with an otherworldly light. Before the waterfall stood a majestic white stag, its antlers crowned with the same silvery light that wreathed the cascading water. The stag regarded her with eyes as green as the forest itself, and Ella felt an overwhelming sense of peace and tranquility. "This place," the stag said, its voice resonating in her mind, not her ears. "This place is safe. Here you can hide, little one, until the danger has passed." Ella hesitated. The stag radiated kindness and wisdom, yet she couldn't shake off the unease coiling in her stomach. "Thank you," she replied, her voice barely a whisper. "But I don't want to hide. I want to help my father. Please, can you help me?" The stag dipped its head in understanding. "Your father is trapped, child of moonlight, held fast by ancient magic. To break the enchantment, you must seek the Whisperer, the guardian of this wood. Only the Whisperer can set your father free." With a grateful nod, Ella turned to leave. The stag's words gave her hope, but how could she find the whisperer in this labyrinth of trees? Then she noticed it, a single white feather lying at the foot of the waterfall, glowing softly in the dim light. Hope surged through her. If the stag had left her this gift, surely it would lead her to the whisperer. She picked up the feather, tucked it safely in her cloak, and stepped back into the welcoming darkness of the whispering wood. The forest seemed to shift and change around her, guiding her along a hidden path. She walked for what felt like hours, the only sound her own breathing and the soft rustle of leaves beneath her feet. And then, just as her hope began to dwindle, she saw it, a faint glimmer of light ahead. Pushing through a final thicket of branches, she emerged into another clearing. And there before her stood the most magnificent tree she had ever seen. Its bark shimmered with 1,000 colors, and its leaves, instead of rustling, whispered in hushed tones. The whispers grew louder as she approached, forming words of welcome and warning. "Welcome, child of moonlight," the tree boomed, its voice echoing with ancient power. "You seek the whisperer, but know this, only the pure of heart may enter my domain." Allah straightened, her chin lifting in determination. She might be just a young girl, but she wouldn't be intimidated. She had come too far to turn back now. Stepping forward, she met the gaze of the ancient tree, her own eyes shining with unwavering resolve. She was ready to face whatever trials lay before her, ready to save her father and restore balance to the whispering wood. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please share it with others and leave a comment below with your thoughts. Favorite moments or characters? Your feedback means the world to us and inspires us to keep bringing these stories to life. Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and remember, the most extraordinary adventures often begin with just a single step into the unknown.